You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 AM, a CBS station.
Welcome to Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan. You're listening to us on CBS radio station 1580 AM in the Washington, D.C. area, or streaming on the web, WMClive.com, and that's where you can also find links to podcasts of all our previous shows. And we want to hear from you, so you can tweet us at hashtag WMCLive or email me at womensmediacenterlive@gmail.com. We have some transformative guests on today's show. One was looking to help a small group of women and started a local and now a national movement. One is facing prison time in Saudi Arabia for bringing food to the abused and starving wife of a Saudi man. One started out to get other young feminists active in stop rape campaigns and is forging an entire counterculture based on consent. And the last is a famous psychologist who is also now a playwright. Exciting, huh? But first we have to go inside the headlines. There's two items inside the headlines this week. One is a tweet that Valerie Jarrett sent out last week, and the tweet simply read, "First time ever new class of NASA astronauts is 50% women." Now that's what I'm talking about. Retweet to show your support. Well, there are two things about that. One is I'm glad that that's what she thinks she's been talking about, although I could use a little bit more of Valerie Jarrett, who may be the most powerful woman in the administration, talking about it a lot more. But don't want to be greedy. I'm glad that she's into it now. And I was going around feeling happy, although it is also true to carp that if you're thinking of a class of astronauts being in the hundreds, it isn't. It's 8. So they finally came up with 4 women to balance 4 men. Still, let's not be greedy. Then I thought, we're 51% and this is 50%, so that's hardly what you really call parity. And then I thought, greedy, carp. So I made myself feel much better. And then the ebb tide, or the undertow rather, hit. So there are now half of all the astronauts in the America's space program are female. Whoop-de-doo. There is no American space program anymore. Remember? Last year, there was no funding for it, and basically it shut down. Things like Curiosity on Mars are NASA programs, but they were one of the projects that are already in the pipeline, so they were allowed to be finished. No new ones are being initiated. Space exploration from this point on will be private. So there it is, the usual thing. Once a neighborhood becomes sort of devalued, like blockbusting, we're allowed in. Or, contrarily, when they let a token in, we devalue the territory. True of women, all women, true of men of color. Very interesting. So I'm a little sour on this. I know I should be grateful. I know I should be happy and not be sad, but there you go. The other item is that the House of Representatives last week, as it geared up for their debate on H.R. 1797, otherwise known charmingly as the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Act. That's a mouthful. So they were gearing up for the debate that would outlaw virtually all abortions 20 weeks post-fertilization. And Representative Michael Burgess, the Republican from Texas, gave us one of the beauties. Now, you've heard this all over the place. Rachel took it on. A lot of people have, but it's so special. We'll repeat it and touch that base again. He argued in favor of banning abortions even earlier than the ones that they were debating because, he said, male fetuses of that age needed to be carried in the womb and brought to term. Why? Quote, "Watch a sonogram of a 15-week baby, and they have movements that are purposeful." Now listen to the grammar of this. They stroke their face. If they're a male baby, they may have their hand between their legs. If they feel pleasure, why is it so hard to believe that they could feel pain? Well, we'll leave the grammatical atrocities aside for the moment, for the politics. And there it is. I mean, you're not allowed to have control over your own body as a woman, because if you're carrying an embryo, then it might be male and it might want to masturbate, and that's what your womb is for. appallingly, even more shockingly, Burgess is a former obstetrician gynecologist. There are women wandering around Texas who used to be his patients, whose lives and reproductive systems probably are destroyed. Anyway, sometimes going inside the headlines is something you don't want to do. Sometimes you don't want to go, I don't know, anywhere near the headlines. But our first guest, Becca Stevens, is a happy headline. She founded Thistle Farms in 1997, thinking to help a small group of women in poverty and in recovery from addictions and the sexual exploitation industry. Her idea grew and has flowered into a reality that involved the entire community. Last month, this, quote, small project added something new. It's the place you want to go for your coffee if you are ever in Nashville, Tennessee. Becca, welcome. Welcome to Women's Media Center Live.
Thank you so much, Robin. We are very, very excited to be doing this.
Well, it's an honor to have you on. It's been how many years since you came up with the idea of Thistle Farms and helping what you then thought was a small group of women to rebuild their lives from addiction, from the sexual exploitation industry, from trafficking and prostitution, and then it grew into what is soon to be a national movement. How long ago was that?
That started 16 years ago. We opened our very first house and just said, women can come live free for 2 years in a sanctuary that is not associated with the penal system or the church system or any kind of government system, that it's all just a gift, and to come and heal. And that first house was in August, so this is really coming up on 16 years, which is unbelievable.
My God, congratulations to you, Becca. And that it's not affiliated with the penal system or the church is just amazing, because so much is, offered to women in those situations, and then there's a bill that comes,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were saying just before we started taping that today is a special day.
Yes, it is a special day. This is an exciting time, first of all, because we opened our latest social enterprise venture, which is a cafe, and this is just starting today is our third week of operations, and we're doing better than we can imagine. We have 6 new baristas trained, all women coming off the streets with criminal history of trafficking and prostitution, so it's a buzz about that.
That's Thistle Stop Cafe in Nashville.
Yes, Thistle Stop Cafe on Charlotte Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee, with the best tea and coffee are served, we think.
If you are in Nashville or find yourself anywhere near Nashville, you get yourself over to Thistle Stop Cafe.
And the other reason it's so exciting is that once a month we have these education days that are really a part of a movement of building sister organizations around the country that do both social enterprise and residential free housing for women who have these histories and who need a way to just be in a place of radical love and acceptance so they can make their way back into community. And today we're welcoming 40 visitors, and they're from 7 different cities, and it's really fun.
And they're going to study you as a test model to start this there in their own cities.
Yes, and we figure to date there's been about 20 cities who we've helped launch or tweak their programs. So in North Platte, Nebraska, in New Orleans, in St. Louis, in Charleston, in Rochester, New York, we've helped actually start programs. But in other places, they may just be adding the social entrepreneur component of it, or they may just be tweaking their program so it really is a long-term free program for women who need time to heal from the wounds that are, universal and old. I mean, on average, the women that come into Magdalene are first sexually abused between the ages of 7 and 11.
Yeah.
It takes a while to heal from some of that stuff.
Oh, you think? Yeah. You're like an answer to our dreams, because for 40-some-odd years, the women's movement has been trying to think of, what would be a women's alternative that wasn't connected with punishment or, quote, redemption or, any of those other things, that would be a safe space and a really sisterly place, and knowing that would make all the difference. And there you are, all this time, in 16 years you've been doing it. How did you get the idea to begin with? How did you start this?
Well, I mean, all of us come from our brokenness into a place of hoping that things get better, or that's not the whole story. So when I was growing up, my dad was killed. He was killed by a drunk driver when I was 5. My mom was left with 5 kids, and he had moved to the South from New York He was an Episcopal priest, so my mom got stuck basically in Nashville, Tennessee with 5 kids.
Oh.
And the guy that came after him, that was kind of the elder of the church, began sexually abusing me, beginning really at the church, which is crazy.
Oh, Becca.
For the next couple of years. And I've always felt like, I was drawn to the women on the streets of wanting to help. And I got ordained in the Episcopal Church, and I was still trying to think of ways of, just going back and helping women. Then I realized that I had a lot of connections to the women because that's the story that everybody really shares, that is part of this program. And not that I've ever compared my story to some of the horrific stuff that the women have gone through for Magdalene. But I think it gave me enough of a taste of it to have a lot of respect for how that abuse can make really basic things growing up really difficult.
Oh, yeah. You have a gift for understatement.
And so I think I was just always like, God, I have more in common with the women on the streets than most of the pastors I'm working with.
Of course.
And I just wanted to say that community could change the story, that community of women coming together and being together could really change a story into a beautiful, beautiful, positive thing. Over the years, what I've come to believe, so much has been about love is very healing and community love is very healing. And women do that really well together when we are free to do it.
Yeah. Your motto at the cafe is a story in every cup, which is so beautiful. And the other thing that is so moving to me is that the community, the larger community around the coffee shop and Thistle Farms is supporting it, as customers. They're glad to have it there. There's none of the usual fear and trembling that strange people are coming into our neighborhood. You've worked some magic there.
Well, one of the things that's unbelievable to me is if you look at the numbers, we save the community of Nashville over $500,000 a year just by being here. We are a gift to the city.
You are.
I mean, I think sometimes people think, well, it takes a whole bunch of people and so much energy and time and money to help a small group of women, but really, if you think about it, it's been a very small group of women that have said, we want to find an alternative. We want to get better. We want to find hope and to find careers and to reconcile with our kids. That small group of women has helped a whole big community not give up, not have to leave anybody behind. And you realize that because we're here, Nashville is better.
Of course it is, of course. How many women would you say in all these years have passed through the doors?
150 women have come and stayed as part of the 2-year residential program. We just celebrated our last graduation. I think the last graduation was 10 women. So we have 6 houses, and they house between 4 and 6 women on average. So it's a very small group of women, and they stay for 2 years in the house, and no one has a key to their house but the women who live there. So it's a very strict program, but it's very small, and there's no authority that lives in the house with the women, which is radically different from other models. And so what happens is it's small groups. We've had 72% of the women who have come through the program are clean and sober 2.5 years later, meaning you know that the sex industry and the drug industry are married.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and so all the women are suffering with pretty horrific addictions and truly heartbreaking stories. That's the best way I can say it. They break my heart.
Of course.
And they've come in, and it's not only staying clean and sober, but it's like, going back and healing generations of just some messed up stuff with their family, and then going back and saying, I can pay the whole court cost so I can see my kids again and be with my kids and be a mom. That's why women need jobs. It's not like it's not enough to hold women up as like, oh my gosh, look, they're survivors. Isn't that great? They're survivors. It's like, so that's not very loving if they're still poor as dirt.
That's right. That's right. That's right. They need justice as well. So they get to work in the cafe then.
Well, they can work in manufacturing. They can work in sales. Every department of the company now is run by a graduate of the program.
Oh, wow.
So there's something, I think, I would hate to give the wrong number, but between 42 and 45 women are employed at Thistle Farms who have come through the Magdalene program. Not all of them are still residents. The management, obviously, are graduates, and they're training the new women. But there's 6 women in the cafe. We have studios that are both paper and sewing studios, and I think there's maybe another 6 there. And then somewhere between 20 and 30 women on the manufacturing side, manufacturing our healing oils and body care products and candles.
So it's a whole new life that you're creating with these women, that they're creating, because I'm really riding the coattails, to be honest. Well, you've created the space for them to do it. Becca, is there a website or a way that if listeners want to contribute to this effort or find out more, they can contact you?
Yes, and we are really, really focusing on building our website. I'm really glad you asked me that. If somebody wants to do a loving act, go to thistlefarms.org. We have 3 women in the shipping department who are learning so much, and just to get a chance to ship a candle is really about healing. And so we would love for people to go online and shop. It makes a big difference. I mean, really, if you do it and you tell 10 people, that would make a difference in a day. Right now we have somewhere between 20 and 30 shipments a day, and we need to double it.
I know where I'm getting my candles from here on in. Thistlefarms.org.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I don't say yes, ma'am, only because I'm in the South.
That's all right. I'll yes, ma'am, you right back. And thank you so much for this remarkable project and the vision that you had and the way you've sustained it. And thanks also for being with us today on the program.
Well, this is a huge opportunity for us, so thank you for loving us and reaching out. Thank you.
Right back at you. And we have to pause here for a break. This is Robin Morgan, and when we return, Women's Media Center Live will bring you my exclusive interview from Saudi Arabia with Wajeha al-Haider, who has just been sentenced to prison for helping a starving woman. We changed our programming today to run this breaking news interview. After Hurricane Sandy, parts of the East Coast have returned to normal, but others won't see normal again for quite some time. One group getting volunteers and aid supplies to those who need it is called Occupy Sandy. Made up of a coalition of Occupy Wall Street activists, community organizers, and technologists, Occupy Sandy is using social media and other software tools to identify and quickly respond to urgent needs among the hardest-hit communities. You can help. To donate or to volunteer, visit occupysandy.org.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 AM, a CBS station.
Welcome back. We're changing our planned programming for this next interview, since it's breaking news. Wajeha al-Haider, the prominent journalist and women's rights activist who's been called the Rosa Parks of Saudi Arabia, has been convicted of inciting an abused wife to defy her husband, and she faces imprisonment. Al-Haider has been harassed by the Saudi government and or by the Saudi religious police since 2003, when she was first banned from publishing her writing. In 2006, she was arrested for organizing a women's rights protest, but nothing has stopped her. In 2008, she posted online a video of herself driving her car. You'll remember that women aren't permitted to drive cars in the kingdom. But in none of the above-mentioned cases did the charges reach the conviction, much less the sentencing stage. This time seems ominously different. Welcome back to the program, Wajeha. I'm sorry it's under such circumstances.
Oh, thank you. I was really, I had really a hard time until today. I cannot even sleep. I couldn't believe it, what happened to me.
Well, back up for a bit and tell the listeners the background. There's a Canadian woman and her children who have allegedly been abused and even starved by her Saudi husband, and you were bringing her food. Am I correct?
Yes, and I usually don't. I've never been to her house. I usually try to send somebody to take food to her, but that was the only time we went to her and we, to bring her some food when we got caught.
And you were accused and now convicted of supporting a wife without her husband's knowledge, thereby undermining her marriage. Is that the charge?
Yes, that's correct. That was the charge.
And the court did nothing about the fact that he was abusing her?
Of course they know. Her story is all over. Her story is all over. And you know, if you check, even local newspaper covered her stories. But mainly they always concentrate of, she's always saying she's poor, she doesn't have food, she doesn't have drinking water, and that's what she's always requesting, you know.
They question her word. In other words, they say she's lying?
They never said that, by the way, but also the human rights group here, which is actually a governmental group, they supported her. You know, they give her some support, money, and also food, and even the apartment that she's living in, it was actually paid by the government. But still, it's not enough. You know, they don't have enough food. The money they give her doesn't. She has 3 kids, and now she's pregnant. So whatever they are giving her is not enough.
Yes, and the husband. What does the husband do about all this? He doesn't work. I see.
He has no job.
And so the government, you have been charged and then convicted now of this charge, inciting a wife to defy the authority of her husband. I love it, and been sentenced for the. You've been arrested many times before, but this is the first sentencing, is it?
Yes, this is the first time to go this far with the government, you know, to get convicted.
Yeah, I mean, you've been a thorn in their side for years because of your courageous activism. But so they've convicted you to 10 months in prison and banned from leaving the country for 2 years following the completion of the term?
Yes, that's correct.
And you've appealed?
Yes, we have 30 days. And so now it's already 30 days to appeal. And we don't know what's going to happen, but we are going to hire a lawyer this time, because the first time we were trying to defend, of course, Fawzia, my friend Fawzia Al-Ayouni was with me.
Yes.
And we were trying to defend ourselves, but she was able actually to drop the other accusations, which was really made up by the police. Which they said we went there to help her to escape. Yeah, so they couldn't prove it. There was no proof, you know, no evidence. So they dropped that accusation, and now we got convicted of something we never thought of, and it was not actually discussed in court. That's his conclusion, the judge's conclusion. And since in Saudi Arabia we have no written laws, it all depends on the judge's mood. So they say whatever they want because nothing is written. So it could be, this case could be nothing to another judge, and to this judge, because I think it was out of his personal opinion, because he knows who we are, you know, Fawzia and I, and that's why he went that far in his decision. So
he's punishing you not only for this occasion, but for all the past offenses when you drove and when you've helped women and when you campaigned against guardianship laws. In other words, he's punishing you for your beliefs. I'm sure he was doing that, and he wasn't doing it because of his opinion, you know, her personal opinion, but his whoever was really giving him the instructions to do that. Is this is a religious court or a civil? Why am I asking? It's Saudi Arabia. They're the same courts. Were you arrested by the religious police or the civil police?
No, by the police. And actually, when we went there, the minute we arrived, the police car arrived at the same time. So that means that it was proven to us, and I'm sure the judge knows that it was a trap, and they meant to catch us at that time in order to make a case against us. And at that time, it was dropped even. We went, that was 2011, in June 2011.
Yes.
And it was dropped because the prince, the governor of the area, who is Prince Mohammed bin Naif, his name Mohammed bin Fahad, he, the one who said, cancel it, and I don't want this case to be open again. Because he knew from the information he got it was really made up and it was a trap. So we left the police station without even signing anything except not to get closer to that family again. Just keep away from them, and the prince will take care of it. And actually, after that, the husband was hired to work in the governor's office. I don't know what kind of job he was doing, but he was hired only to give the family financial support.
Is there any chance that the prince might intervene again, the district governor, as he did the last time?
Now we have a new prince, and I don't know really if he's going to interfere or not. I have because now it went so far. It went through the court system, and they always claim the court system is independent. Nobody can interfere, and it's. Just to give an idea, nobody can impact the decisions there.
Yeah, right.
Which is not true. I found out now it's not true at all.
Well, apparently the king can do whatever he wants. If he wants to pardon or he doesn't want to pardon him. This has happened many times before. My hope is that if we raise the international profile of this sufficiently, it embarrasses the royal family as it has before, and then the king intervenes. Does that seem a good strategy to you? What can women do to be of support to you?
Actually, now that's what we are hoping is the king. He's the only one who can get us away or get us off this horrible situations.
Yes.
Only him can get us out. But also, there is another chance to get out if they let Natalie Morn, the Canadian woman, comes and says the truth, because she's the only one who can say these two women, they came to help me, not to encourage me to go against my husband. So, and she's been saying that, actually writing that in her blog, and she has also a YouTube channel. So she said it, but many times. But the judge at that time, when we were, going to that court, he refused to bring her, and he refused even to have when we said we want her and we want the embassy, because they said we were trying to help her to escape to the embassy, the Canadian embassy. He refused to bring them because he knows that they will embarrass everybody, and it will end the case.
Of course.
And he didn't want that. He was instructor to continue and to get us convicted.
Does she want to stay, or does she want to escape, to leave? Do you know?
She wants to leave the country, of course, but she doesn't want to do it illegally.
I see.
It's not possible anyway, and it's too dangerous.
Yes.
And she has very small kids, it's just not possible. And even the accusation now that they're saying that we are trying to get her to divorce her husband, she doesn't want that. She wants to stay with her husband, even though he's not really a good husband. But she knows in the Saudi law, if she gets divorced, she will lose the kids.
Right.
And she is here and suffering so much because of these kids.
Because of the kids.
Yeah, she will never leave.
Yes.
Why would she do that?
Of course.
And when she left before, I think it was in 2005, she came back because she couldn't live with her kids.
Without the kids, yes.
Yeah.
And the Canadian government is not intervening or doing anything. Are their hands tied?
I am really shocked that the Canadian embassy they are not doing anything about her case. They are not helping her. They're not supporting her. It's just, I feel it's not like any agent, and we know we have this from experience. We see the Asian citizens here in Saudi Arabia, like people from India or Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Their governments don't care about them.
Yes.
When they face a bad situation here.
I know.
But I was really shocked. Even the Canadians.
Yeah.
What kind of a country is that? I mean, they are considered westernized, and they have a democratic government, and they're not supporting their citizens.
Well, maybe we can alert the Canadian feminist movement, and they can put pressure on their government. This is what
they should.
This is what there's an international women's movement for. So we'll put the wheels in motion. as much as we can. Listen, will you please keep us posted, and we will do everything we can starting from this minute so that that sentence does not have to be fulfilled, and so that she can come out, and so that you can go about your life and your work. I send you my personal love and embrace and sisterhood.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Oh, shukran, my dear. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Oh, dear. And one of the things that you can do is to sign the petition that Equality Now has online. Just go to equalitynow.org, and it will link you to the petition and ways of writing the government, in particular the king, that brings pressure. International pressure makes a difference here because the royal family gets embarrassed, they know it looks bad, and then the king pardons. equalitynow.org. And now the only thing that can follow that is, of course, the Surrealism Corner. And we have only one item, but it's a doozy. It's SHE, S-H-E, Society Harnessing Equipment. 3 students won a science prize in India called the Gandhi and Young Technological Innovations Award. And they won it for devising a system of inner wear, underwear, panties, bras, etc., for women that's actuated with sensors and electric shock circuit boards so that when molesters, would-be rapists, gropers, assaulters reach for the woman, they get the shock of their life. I think it's hilarious and very witty. They said in their statement that once they came out of school and hit the cruel world, they realized that their integrity, there's 2 girls and a boy, the girls said that our integrity was being destroyed. And since the lawmakers take ages to come up with just laws, and even after that women are unsafe, we have initiated the idea of self-defense that protects the woman from domestic, social, and workplace harassment. We came across many such incidents of this harassment and so forth. Their only negative judgment was that the device needs to be more compact, and their future plans are that they want to interface the system with a smartphone using Bluetooth and infrared. The pressure sensor then will not only give a shock to the assaulter, but will send a signal to the smartphone through Bluetooth that in turn will send distress messages instantly. This is just wonderful and hilarious. I mean, it's also true that it'd be nice if women could defend ourselves in new self-defense, and it'd be nicer of all if men changed and didn't assault women. But in the meantime, it gives the phrase, "don't get your panties in a twist," a shocking, excuse the pun, new meaning. Break time. And this is still Women's Media Center Live, and I'm still here being Robin Morgan. Coming up, we'll find out how, among other things, our next guest took on the sexual exploitation in, speaking of underwear, Victoria's Secret ads, and how she won. Don't go away.
If you ever need an organ transplant, you will probably die before you get one. Thousands of Americans die waiting every year. You can improve your odds by joining LifeSharers, and it's free. Visit lifesharers.org or call 888-ORGAN-88. LifeSharers puts organ donors first. When you join LifeSharers, you get preferred access to the organs of other members. This could literally save your life. Join LifeSharers today. There's no age limit. Parents can enroll their minor children, and no one is excluded due to any pre-existing medical condition. Call 888-ORGAN-88 or visit lifesharers.org. That's LIFESHARERS.org. LifeSharers. It's free. It could save your life.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 AM, a CBS station.
And welcome back. Rebecca Nagle is different from other excellent anti-rape activists. They speak about needed changes in policy and law and state support for survivors. Rebecca speaks about much-needed culture change. She lectures, teaches workshops, consults with media about rape coverage, and she is the founder and co-director of FORCE, Upsetting Rape Culture, a creative activist effort to upset the culture of rape and promote a culture of consent. Welcome, Rebecca, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for the work that you're doing. It's not your usual run-of-the-mill Stop Rape campaign. You're taking on rape culture itself. Tell us about Force, the group that you founded.
Yeah, so I co-founded Force with my friend and collaborator, Hannah Brancato, and Force is an art and activist effort to upset the culture of rape and promote a counterculture of consent. And the way that we do that is we do these big public art actions on the internet or in public spaces, and we create images and messages and ideas that spark conversations and change perspectives and help sort of create a cultural shift away from rape culture towards a culture based on consent.
It's really innovative because, you know, we've approached the issue of rape in terms of legislation, in terms of consciousness raising, in terms of support systems for survivors, but the problem really is the entire culture of rape, and
yes.
And it's mainstream now as well.
Yes, and I think that we see ourselves as being part of very much a national movement with a long history. And so we really appreciate, you know, the direct services that survivors get through crisis centers and counseling, and we appreciate the people who are changing our laws and changing our legislation. And we feel like the cultural work is just as important.
It is.
And is also very timely. You know, just within the past year, rape culture has become this term that all these people are talking about, and people weren't talking about it 3 years ago. So
that's right.
The consciousness of how the culture affects behavior and creates the epidemic that we have of sexual violence in the United States. People are starting to understand how those things work. And so it's actually a very ripe moment to create change because the high level of consciousness is already there.
Mm-hmm.
Now what we have to do is we have to move people from understanding that we live in a rape culture to, well, how do we get out of it?
And
so what does a culture without rape look like?
And the idea of creating a culture of consent is very smart, very, very smart. Tell people, in case they haven't heard of it, about the campaign that you did on about Victoria's Secret and rape culture, because I think it's so witty. So a lot of the stuff that you do has real wit.
Yeah, well, that was a pretty fun campaign that we did. It was an internet culture jam panty prank. We took Victoria's Secret and we made a fake website with their branding, their logo, their style, their style of images. And we took actually their underwear styles and we put consent-themed slogans on the underwear. So the underwear said things like, ask first and no means no. And we contrasted that with what their underwear said. They have underwear that they sell to teenagers that say things like no peeking and sure thing, which we thought was problematic.
Yes.
And then what happened is with the fake website, and then we did all this stuff on social media, the project went viral. People thought it was real, then they found out it was fake. And then it just sparked this whole conversation about, you know, the images that we see of sexualized women's bodies and what empowering imagery would look like and how that would change and how we're teaching young people about sex and what's corporate responsibility and what is consent. And it just sparked this whole internet revolution that was beautiful to watch. And I think that thing that we were just talking about where it gave people an opportunity to reimagine the culture that we live in. We're so used to these like negative images being shoved down our throats. Right. And that it's like actually it can be fun and sexy and exciting and entertaining and not rapey. That's possible.
And you presented a real alternative. I think that the hilarious part was that lots of people wanted to buy underwear that said no means no, or I like consent, or, you know, the various other slogans, and they were trying to order them from Victoria's Secret. And you can just imagine the executives having an aneurysm at Victoria's Secret, saying, "What the hell? Who did you authorize this? Who are these people?"
What we did with people who wanted to buy the underwear, that was a big response, is on our website, there are stencils and directions on how you can make your own underwear. Mm-hmm. And actually for a very limited amount of time, just a week, we have a Kickstarter going on for our next project. And some of the prizes, if people know how Kickstarter works, you fund projects, and for pledging your support to a project, you can get a little prize. And so some of those consent-themed underwear that were really popular during the Victoria's Secret prank are up on the Kickstarter right now.
On Kickstarter. And tell people the URL.
If you go to upsettingrapeculture.com, there's a link to the Kickstarter page.
Terrific. And another project that Force has done is the monument quilt and the statue too. Tell us about that.
So the monument project is the idea that there should be a public monument to survivors of rape and abuse, and we believe in there being a public national monument because we think that survivors need and deserve public spaces and public forums to heal for their experiences, and that also our culture and our country needs symbols to show how we can publicly support survivors of rape and abuse and how we can move towards a day without rape.
And it means respect too.
Yeah, that these are experiences that people should be respected and honored for surviving and for their strength and for their courage.
Yeah.
And right now we live in a culture where what is tragically more common is that survivors carry the emotional burden of the crime that they endured. They carry the shame and they carry the guilt. And we're trying to create cultural symbols and spaces where we can flip that, and instead people are supported and respected for being strong.
What have you got in the planning stages now?
So what we've been doing is we've been installing temporary monuments on the National Mall as a call for this permanent monument. So in February, as part of 1 Billion Rising, we floated a giant poem, and there are pictures of this on the internet, with 8-foot-tall letters. And the poem spelled, "I can't forget what happened, but no one else remembers." And that was a poem that was written by one survivor. And what we're doing with the next project is we're going to share the stories and the experiences of thousands of survivors through a project we're calling the Monument Quilt. So right now, we're collecting stories from survivors. We're fundraising on the Kickstarter, like I mentioned, and we're going to put together a giant quilt that's going to cover the lawn of the National Mall next summer in 2014. And for one weekend, this giant quilt will create a highly visible public space where the experiences of survivors are honored, and we can have a public dialogue about it. And I should say that the quilt is also going to serve as a picnic blanket, and we're going to sort of have it also be an event, not just an installation of the quilt, but really an event where we invite people to sit and talk and eat and come together around this idea of creating healing space for people.
How do you fund all this work? Can people donate at the website, not only to Kickstarter but in general?
Yeah, so right now we're really asking people to donate on the Kickstarter because we have to reach our goal. I'm actually really, really close to our goal. So the more people that pitch in, the more likely it is that we'll get there. And then throughout the year, when we are not having a Kickstarter up, there is a donate button on our website, and all the support that we can get. It's funny, people don't realize how small Force is. It's just an art collaboration. We have very little funding, and we do all of this mostly as volunteers. And so every little bit, actually, for us, because we're so small, makes a really big difference.
Oh, well, you deserve all the support people can manage. Upsettingrapeculture.com. And you
can also find us on Facebook at /upsettingrapeculture, and we're on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @upsettingrape.
And you're beautiful. You're just beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you for being with us on Women's Media Center Live. And it's time for another brief pause here on Women's Media Center Live. I am still reliably Robin Morgan. And I'll hurry back with a guest who is one monumental multitasker. She's a major psychologist who has also written a novel, a play, and now an opera. In just a minute.
When you have a drug or alcohol problem, your whole world stops making sense. You can get help for yourself or a loved one and make sense of life again.
Good morning.
For information, treatment referral, and most importantly, help, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 AM, a CBS station.
And we're back again with Carol Gilligan, who broke new ground in the field of psychology with her germinal work In a Different Voice and her revolutionary research on girls' development and women's psychology. She's published numerous books and won numerous awards. She came out with a novel in 2008 and her play, The Scarlet Letter, based on the Hawthorne novel, and the play was co-written with her son Jonathan. It was staged at the Culture Project's Women's Center Stage Festival in New York. Now she has written the libretto for an opera based on that play. Welcome, Carol, to Women's Media Center Live.
Oh, Robin, I'm so delighted to be here with you.
Well, we're going to focus today on Carol Gilligan in a different voice as an artist. But first, I have to ask the requisite question. You're known all over the world for your work in psychology and very distinguished work and laden with awards and professors at least 6 different universities. Has the artist been trying to get out all along? You wrote a novel a few years ago, and now there's the play and now the opera libretto. How did we get here from there?
Well, I would say I've always been an artist, and I'm an artist who happened to wander into the field of psychology. No, seriously. I mean, I think artists are, really the best psychologists because they explore the human world. But I happened to walk into the field of psychology, and I listened with an ear, I think with a novelist's ear, to people's voices.
Uh-huh.
And I wrote about what I heard. And I was just trying at the time to make sense of something for myself, which is why the voice of the field sounded so off.
Yeah.
And I never expected that what I wrote would have such resonance for so many people, and that's just been an amazing,
how interesting,
very heartening experience.
How very interesting. I mean, I agree that not so much with Shelley that artists are the legislators of the world. Would that were true, but I think art goes places where even science, and I love science passionately, can't. And I think it's not coincidental that you brought that sensibility into psychology and made a revolution in the field then.
Yeah, well, I think, the logic of the psyche, if you can put it that way, is an associative logic. It's the logic of dreams and poetry and memory. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how we remember things, from a sound or a smell or a taste, that. And artists work associatively, so in that sense, you kind of go under the surface. You go under the radars in a way.
Yes, and now that I think of it with this lens, a different voice, and all the research that you did on the hinge point when the culture moves in and girls are made to lose their voice. What happens to women's voices? What in the other book that I love so much, The Birth of Pleasure, what happens to the full celebratory, body-centered, emotional pleasure? Has to do very much with an artistic sensibility. There's an aesthetics to your psychology, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, I open In a Different Voice with a scene from Chekhov.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And The Birth of Pleasure is written in an associative voice because I'm trying to evoke for my reader the experience of coming out of dissociation, which I had by listening to girls. I'm a woman, I was a girl, and I remember the sound of girls' voices and having this sensation, I know that voice,
Yes.
And hearing my own voice. And so it's only through association that you can break through dissociation, and that's what I wrote The Birth of Pleasure about.
Yeah, and it also, for me, has very much to do with feminist ethics, because it's about connectivity, and patriarchy, to me, is about compartmentalization.
Well, I think that's right. I think that explains how we lose touch. I mean, because it sets up a hierarchy where there was a connection.
That's right. Anyway, so let's get on to you as an artist. Kira, or Kyra, I'm not sure.
Kira is how that's how I hear it.
Well, if you and I pronounce it Kira, then that must be right. It was the name of the novel. And then you wrote the play, The Scarlet Letter, based, of course, on the Hawthorne.
Yeah.
And now you've written a libretto to you co-wrote the play with your son.
Yeah, I originally wrote the play because my friend Tina Packer, who runs Shakespeare and Company in the Berkshires, or did, wanted to do works by Berkshire authors, and Hawthorne lived in the Berkshires. So she asked if I would I'd written about Scarlet Letter and Birth of Pleasure.
Yes.
So she asked, would I turn it into a play? And I think, Robin, because I went to progressive school, if you ask me, can I do something, I say, sure.
It's also because you're a crazy feminist, so we always...
Exactly.
We always say, sure.
Sure, I could do this. So it was incredible because also, when you do a play, you're working with actors and directors, and it's not like writing a novel where you're by yourself in a room.
Right.
And then the play was produced at Shakespeare and Company, and the love scene was part of the Hawthorne Bicentennial, and then it was done in a seminar in the Berkshires, and the reading was done, and my son was there. And he came to the seminar afterwards that was discussing the reading, and I said to him afterwards, this is my oldest son, Jonathan, I said, Jonathan, your comments were, just incredible. They were so astute and useful. And he said to me, Mom, I see what you're trying to do, and I think I can help you.
What a great thing to say.
And I said, fabulous. So from then on, we became co-authors, and our play was part of Women's Center Stage at the Culture Project with Marissa Tomei. It was great. And then this incredible young woman, Sarah Jobin, the first woman to conduct the San Francisco Opera, called me out of the blue about 5 years ago and said, my dream is to do a project with you. And then she said, I want to take you out of your comfort zone.
Which immediately got your attention.
That really did get my attention.
Of course. It's a challenge.
So we started talking about doing something together. And the outcome of that was that this play should become an opera. And the play was told, I told the Hawthorne story from the point of view of the daughter, Pearl, grown up.
Right, little Pearl.
And little Pearl. And, when Hawthorne wrote that novel, he had a 6-year-old daughter. So
I know.
Pearl is more observed than imagined, I think. And Pearl is the only one who sees what's going on.
Right.
And she sees the truth. So I imagined her as an adult. And who would she become as an adult? And I thought a child who couldn't, for very good reasons, couldn't say what she saw because they were going to take her away from her mother.
Right.
She grows up to be a writer.
Of course. Oh, how fun.
So, and as a matter of fact, the dates of the fictional Pearl in the novel correspond almost exactly to Aphra Behn, the first woman writer, on the English stage. So
yes.
I imagine Pearl as a writer. So then changing the play to an opera called Pearl it's a memory play. It's Pearl, now an adult, a writer, herself the mother of a daughter, remembering those scenes that she witnessed as a child to try to come to her own understanding of who was her mother and who was her father. And, what did she take from that experience?
Oh, my God.
What can she tell her daughter? And I'm very interested in what we as women, what we pass on.
What gets handed down, yes.
Exactly.
Who is the composer?
A woman composer, Amy Scaria, wonderful composer who, had pieces commissioned by the Philadelphia Orchestra and so forth. So the creative team is Sarah, Amy, myself, and Jonathan.
How wonderful. You must be having so much fun.
I'm having so much fun. And in the opera, there's adult Pearl, and there's also child Pearl. And we had an 11-year-old singing child Pearl here in the Berkshires last summer. She'll do it again this summer on August 5th. And then we took the opera to Shanghai as part of a Chinese-American cultural exchange, and I thought, we'll never find another 11-year-old like this incredible girl in the Berkshires.
And you did?
And there she was in Shanghai, and I thought, Carol, you might believe in your own research.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
And I think you go anywhere in the world and find this outspoken, just so clear-voiced 11-year-old. And, the interesting thing to me about Scarlet Letter, which I had read as a tragic love story, and, about the wages of sin, it's a deeply, deeply feminist novel.
Oh, of course it is. It's huge. Well, besides that, we've only got about a minute left, so I'm going to say this real fast. But Hawthorne, I'm sure you know, was married to one of the Peabody sisters, and their daughter became a pianist and went to Europe and studied. Wait for it, with Clara Wieck Schumann. And when the Hawthorns went on their honeymoon trip, the Peabody and Hawthorne, Sophia Peabody, they stayed with Barrett Browning and Browning at Casa Guidi in Italy. Doesn't it make you just grin?
It does. Well, and also Hawthorne was raised by his mother, and he writes Scarlet Letter in the 6 months after his mother died. And there's this wonderful image about how moonlight shows things in a different light.
How can people see this, Carol?
They could come on August 5th to Shakespeare and Company in the Berkshires, Monday night, August 5th, and we have 3 singers from the Met singing with us.
Oh, my dear, all my congratulations to you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you for being with us on Women's Media Center Live, and congratulations again.
Well, it's such a pleasure to talk with you.
And now it's time for Fighting Words. But we're running short on time, so this is a truncated Fighting Words. You rarely hear me say what I'm about to say. This is praise for a man, and not just a man, but a man who is a general of the army. Not in this country, but in Australia. Even though I'm going to have to go short on quoting him, please go to YouTube and do a search for Lieutenant General David Morrison with 2 R's. He is the chief of the Australian Army. Lieutenant General David Morrison. And also you can go to www.army.gov.au for Australia. He gave a speech to United Nations International Women's Day Conference that is amazing, in which he deals with the way the sexual scandals are going on and the sexual assault. He says this is no easy thing for a general to say in public. It's real, it's systemic. He has set tangible goals against which he's willing to be judged. He feels shame. He has heard the stories of these women, and he is taking it in his own hands in a take no prisoners to change this, not beyond zero tolerance. He talks about bonding and says that the hell with bonding if it's invoked to degrade and demonize women and minorities, if bonding takes place only by excluding others. It's amazing. His major goal is to substantially increase the number of women, and then his retention elements include initiatives like allowing servicemen and women to purchase leave and share leave between couples, investigating more child care options to better service families, including holiday daycare and home daycare, allowing an extra bedroom entitlement in service residences if the family utilizes a live-in carer to provide childcare. Can you imagine a general paying attention to getting an extra room in a house so you can have childcare live-in? This is amazing. Again, please go to YouTube and Google Lieutenant General Morrison and go to www.army.gov Australia. I wish we had more time to read it. But check him out. He's a hottie in all ways. And that's it for this week. And you've been listening to us on CBS station 1580 AM radio in Washington, D.C. and on the web at WMClive.com. Portions of this program were taped earlier. Views expressed here don't represent the WMC. The family for Women's Media Center Live is WMC President, and for this program, Executive Producer Julie Burton, Senior Producer Crystal Williams-Chancellor, Technical Director Michelle Kinsey-Bruns, and our founding sponsor Regina Kulik-Scully. I'm Robin Morgan. Thanks for being with us, and join us next week, only here on Women's Media Center Live.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 AM, a CBS station.